Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Career Retrospectives right here on the Super Review Show Network. I am joined by my two incredible friends, Kyle and Mike. What's going on, guys?
Hey,
Oh, what's going on? Thumbs up,
Yes.
Cal.
Thumbs up, Kyle. Exactly. There we go. So Kyle hurt his thumb. So, but he's doing better though. Don't worry. No, as the title, as this episode suggests, we did this. I want to say, what Kyle was it like in May of 22,
gotta
right?
be. Yeah, probably almost 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years ago, Kyle and I did what at the time was a classic rock tier list where we broke down and ranked. We had like 40 or 50 year classic rock artists, and we just broke down where we think they rank as far as like S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and F tier. You know, S being like pinnacle perfection, and F being like the worst, and the rest kind of fall into play. We're gonna be doing that again tonight, and Kyle's gonna be. For those of you who watch us live on YouTube, you can check this out. But if not, just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Kyle's gonna share his screen whenever he's ready, and we're gonna go right into it. And so yeah, this is just a kind of a laid back week for us here. It's career retrospective. So, but Kyle, why don't you take it away with the first one? What do we got there?
All right, first up, AC/DC. Now, for me, this is gonna sound maybe controversial. Straight B tier for me.
Yeah, I'm actually in agreement with that. That's
Yeah,
I've always felt like a lot they had, some real good hits, but they had a lot of kind of seems like they used the same guitar riff, the same guitar sound.
same drum
You know,
patterns.
yeah, they've been writing the same song for like a
50
bunch of albums
years.
long. Yeah, and
And I
while I
mean,
think, I'm
it,
not going to say that they're not iconic and that they're not like they are the pinnacle kind of like I was gonna say they're the quintessential idea of like classic rock, American classic rock, but they're not from America, they're from Australia, right? Australia, is that right?
yep,
But
Australia.
yep.
yeah, but like people always go, yeah, like that's the American sound that they brought to America, and America started to copy off of that kind of sound. But in that spawned a lot of annoying kind of bands that just did that formula, the just that typical kind of style that they do in a lot of their songs, and it just gets stale. So yeah.
But hey, you know what? All things said on that though, Back in Black is still an S tier album though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
100%.
I mean, they've written some of the best rock songs of all time, but there's a lot of filler in that. A lot of filler in
Mm,
that discography.
right. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree.
So,
Next
all right.
up, we got Aerosmith, and I think me and JT are going to disagree quite a bit on this one. I would argue for C tier on Aerosmith. I don't think you could put AC/DC above Aerosmith.
Yeah. I think I'm in agreement. C for me, and I know JT's not gonna like
I know. I was gonna say
that.
because I've seen them live too. I mean, I saw their 50th anniversary show at Fenway Park, and it was postponed from 2020 to 2022. I Yeah, put it at C. Unfortunately,
I mean, I could argue that they could be below ACDC on the B, and
yeah,
I might entertain that idea at some point, but for the sake of like my personal um love of their songs and stuff like that, I feel like you know, they're one of those bands that album wise, uh I'm not on board, but like if I'm listening to like, the
Mhm.
5 or 6 songs I like, I'm cool, but like, just not consistent for me.
Not consistent, but I would say I would put them below a whole tier below AC/DC in terms of AC/DC has had some filler albums. I wouldn't say they've had any straight up bad albums.
Yeah.
Aerosmith has had some bad, bad quality
Anchor.
work in there.
A Night in the
Yeah.
Ruts. Anyone?
Yeah, right.
It's in the title.
100%.
Yeah, but yeah,
All right.
C is fine. What's the next?
Alanis Morissette. Uh, Weird one to throw on here. I would say D. I don't hate her. Uh, you know, Ironic and what was the other song? You Ought to Know. They were all right. All right, 90s bops, I guess.
Yeah, D
Yeah.
is fine.
I'm in agreement with that, man. That's an easy one. Whereas like I think the sound that she you like was doing today is gone, and like there's a lot of there was in some influences in the 2000s and stuff like that, but like it hasn't lived on, and a lot of people, she's just more like a nostalgic kind of flash in the pan in my opinion, versus like has a real like long career that kind of just continued to like set new heights and evolve. It just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, and even like you said, that her style of like pop rock that was going on hasn't continued at all. So it's just it's nostalgia purpose at this
Yeah,
point.
Mhm.
right.
Alice in Chains.
Mm.
Mike, what's your initial thought here?
I have a huge respect for Alice in Chains as a band, and I think their style, in my opinion, does a lot of like the songs that they do, and it's kind of interesting. It's when a like band, uh, their style is so good that it spawns a lot of bands who use their style and actually make better songs than them. They have some pretty solid tracks, and I think they set a precedent for like that kind of real emotional kind of like um kind of just style with it that they did. I'd put them in B personally. I don't know about you guys, how you feel.
I would be good with B, like lower B under AC/DC.
Yeah.
That's
So
fine with me
you,
too. My thing with Alice in Chains is that I haven't really like I haven't listened to him enough to form an opinion like fully on their whole career and whatnot. But yeah, but B is fine. Let's go with that. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean they're one of the, I guess, only remaining, if you want to call them grunge. I'm not one of those people that considers them grunge personally, but they're, one of the few remaining bands from that era left. Like Mike said, their style is very unique. I think it deserves it. Arctic Monkeys, F, straight F for me. Can't stand these guys. Anyone want to argue this one?
no, I that's like arguing for like I don't know, like a killer and saying, hey, he's not that bad. He just,
Oh God.
it's like,
He was a
like I
nice
don't
guy.
know.
He was such a quiet, nice guy.
Not that the Arctic monkeys have killed anybody. Please don't get me. Watch. They'll be like, not that like there's so many followers, but like it'll be like someone will report that they're like like I said something. That would be great.
All right,
Yeah,
Mike.
there's no defending that. Go ahead.
All right, Mike, I'm deferring to you for first opinion on this one. Audio Slave.
Ooh, Audio Slave. Yeah, I mean, it definitely had some good tunes. Personally, I feel like they're definitely in that C tier for me. Like,
That's what I
where
was
I thought they
thinking too.
were, yeah, they were great. I mean, don't get me wrong, but they didn't have a ton of stuff that like really fleshed out. They had a couple good albums and a couple good songs, and but
Mhm.
just more of just an offshoot from like the more known projects of Chris Cornell and
Below Aerosmith and C.
yeah. What do you think,
Yeah.
JT?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. Very relevant to our last few videos. The Beatles.
That's tough,
This
man. I mean,
this is tough because if we're talking iconic, like in terms of like an iconic artist and in terms of what someone did for the music industry, I mean it has to be S, right?
yeah, I'm thinking S. I don't know about you guys, but I mean,
I think S is good. Yeah.
I
yeah,
mean, even though they've had so much, I don't want to say crap, but they've had a decent share of not good songs. But I mean, I think that the good and the total impact just overweighs that completely.
I agree.
yeah. Like, I mean, you can make like Beatles One, that album, where all their hits are on it.
Yep.
Dude, it's got like 30 songs or more or whatever it's on it, and then like all of them are like songs I've heard in
Timeless.
all over
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, wild. So,
All
I
right,
mean,
Rage Against the Machine.
Oh boy.
JT, why don't you
Oh God.
your first
Me
thought?
first. Oh man. They only put out what, 4 albums? Is that right? Because
4 or 5, something like that.
yeah. I mean, when you think iconic, like mid to late '90s, pure rage, for lack of a better word, you think of Rage Against the Machine. I'm actually put him in B because
Yeah.
Mainly,
That's it.
I would say B because one reason specifically is because of Tom Morello's guitar playing
Yep.
alone. Like the guy has reinvented the guitar almost as much as Eddie Van Halen, in my opinion. That may sound like a little bit of a controversial statement, but that's me. I mean, if you dig into what Tom Morello has done with the guitar, it's pretty interesting. So I would put him at B. I don't know what you guys think, but
I
Yeah,
mean,
Evil Empire was one of my favorite albums. And then, I mean, it's what's interesting about them is where other bands have more albums and a lot more body of work to judge from. The small body of work they have are all like solid packed albums. Maybe
mhm.
not in the hits category, but as like just one long album that has variation and doesn't sound like the same song over and over again. Um, so I mean, for me, I would probably say, yeah, like you could go B or you could go A.
I was
okay,
thinking, I was thinking B in front of AC/DC.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that combination of Tom Morello and then Zach's vocals just unmatched.
Yeah,
Like there's certain
yeah,
artists that once you get them all together, they can create together just such musical masterpieces. Then you take one piece out of that equation and it just goes to hell, like Prophets of Rage.
yeah.
Mhm.
Awful.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what this logo was. I think someone grabbed the wrong logo.
Someone put the wrong logo.
But it's Black Sabbath.
Does that say what I think it says?
Yeah, this says a Black Sabbath.
Yeah, which is an actual all-girl Black Sabbath cover band.
So it looks like someone grabbed that. So we're just gonna say it says Black Sabbath. We're not gonna judge the
This
cover.
is pretend. This is pretend.
I would say if we're looking at Black Sabbath as a whole, Ozzy, Dio, various other vocalists, I'm gonna be honest. I'm thinking low B to even maybe high C.
I'm definitely going A tier for this because I feel like Black Sabbath, they have some serious. Even when Dio was there, I loved his work
Oh,
and the
I'm with you on the
bands.
Ozzy and Dio years. It's
Yeah,
everything after that that
yeah,
loses me.
yeah. I just think they have so many known songs. Like, I mean, you could go on and on. That I just feel like, yeah, A tier is just they're not maybe S tier, like, in reference to your like kind of like the longevity of like some of the stuff outside of that. But yeah, they have enough that I think gets them there. Hey,
I could get down with that, JT. What do you think?
JT's the guy, man. JT's
It
the guy.
always comes back to me now. I would say it's funny because this one popped up on our last tier list we did too. Whereas Black Sabbath and I to Kyle, it's funny. I see both your points, and this is the difficult deciding factor here. But I would say, but Black Sabbath is funny because when I think of Black Sabbath, I typically think of like the Ozzy Osbourne
Mhm.
Black Sabbath, Dio Black Sabbath, because to me, their stuff afterwards just is not that memorable to me, which is seems unfortunate to say. Because I mean, to be fair, outside of like Paranoid and War Pigs and whatnot, like I didn't really listen to them post Ozzy because I mean Ozzy left to have a solo career. But I don't. It's I would have to say B personally, but that's it because outside of like the Ronnie James Dio and Ozzy era, that is like kind of like their sweet spot. But then which is all great stuff. But if you go after that, it's kind of like all right, well there's Black Sabbath. It's more I don't know. It's a very fine line to cross there, but I'm gonna say B. So
I'd
kind
say
of going.
B. If we're going B, it's definitely either above AC/DC or above Alice in Chains because or even above. Yeah,
I could say yeah. If we're going B, I'll go above Rage.
Okay, that's
yeah.
fine. That's fine.
It kind of averages out everyone. All right, Blur. I mean, I don't hate them. They have that one song, song two. I can't think of another song from them. It's kind of the
Most
same
of the
thing with
same
Alanis
thing.
Morissette to me, where it's just like nostalgic, like in terms of like the British pop rock.
Yeah, definitely a D tier for sure.
Put him with Alanis.
Yeah, I can hang out together,
All
talk
right,
about the
JT,
past.
this is your time to shine, JT. Bon Jovi.
Oh
Start
God,
it out.
Bon Jovi, man. Well, if we're talking like I mean,
We're not talking 2022 and onwards, Bon Jovi.
no, thank God we're not, because that was a nightmare of a tour. I will admit that. I would go so far as to say that, and yet this is their 40th anniversary is this year. 2024 marks 40 years of Bon Jovi. And he just released a new song too. It's called Legendary. I'm like, oh God, here we go. But anyways, um, man, oh man, there are huge Bon Jovi fan. Even from like evolving from a hair metal band from the 80s to into the 90s with like a more of like a pop power ballad kind of thing with Always and Bed of Roses to It's My Life to then who says you evolution. I've listened to the evolution of this band so many times over on a one Spotify playlist. I gotta put them at A, because if we're talking before 2022 Bon Jovi, put them at A. But if we talk about like more recent stuff, like post 2021, 2022, absolutely not. John's voice is shot, and he admitted recently that he had surgery too.
Yep, I saw that.
And that's a
Oh
pretty
my
good
God.
accomplishment if your down years are 2020, 21, 22. Although I would argue his down years of songwriting came before that. That roller coaster song is atrocious.
You just
And
don't like it because it's played all the time.
no, I hate that song. I hate the sound of his voice there. He's like,
That was 2016 too. I mean, that was like
I
before,
know,
yeah. And so
but
I don't
still,
even know
though,
which song you're talking about.
yeah, it's not like you've,
you don't want to hear
you
it. It's
definitely
not
you
bad,
don't
but it's
want to
like,
hear that.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the guy has such a laundry list of freaking hits that like, there's no way he's not an A if possible S tier. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him in S tier just because the music was it's very straightforward. There's no journey or like you said, evolution to it. It kind of,
Yeah.
he pumped out hits. They were like very catchy and stadium kind of music, but there was no like, he didn't take a turn and kind of flex his diversity muscles and show off some of his the way the Beatles did. The Beatles went from like this to that, and they basically touched on every single sound and were able
Yep.
to do it well. When you can
And I
do
would,
that, it's nuts.
yeah, and I would say another thing that prevents Bon Jovi from going in S tier is he didn't, whereas the Beatles set the trends, he wasn't
Right?
a
Yeah, yeah.
trend setter. He
Who's that?
did
Like he just
well in the pivot
yeah,
from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s. He did
right.
well because he knew how to evolve with the times. He
Correct.
Yeah,
didn't set those precedents. Like he
right.
didn't set the 80s hair metal. He didn't set, the 90s softer rock ballad trend, but he did very well in them. And he has some of, I mean, Slippery When Wet is an incredible album altogether. And he has
Absolutely.
singles throughout his career that are excellent. All right. Who here's a Coldplay fan? JT, I'll let you start. Go ahead. Before
Oh,
I
God. Oh.
get
All right, all right, all right, all right. Hold on. So to be fair, I have seen Coldplay live, and
I'm so
they're
sorry.
you'd be surprised actually. You would never go see them in your lifetime. I know that, but like I'm just saying for the show they put on, though, it was very, very, very entertaining. Their music, though, see, my enjoyment of Coldplay. Let me just say that my enjoyment of Coldplay goes to like probably out of their whole like 8 or 9 albums, probably like it goes to like the hits more than just the albums. And that's probably like 5 to 7, maybe pushing 10 songs that I really enjoy and thoroughly love. But unfortunately, this is a D for me. Believe it or not, this is actually a D. As much as I enjoy him, as thoroughly entertained as I was at that show, I was surprised. D tier for Coldplay.
Yeah, I mean, I like two of their albums. I like the
Okay.
first album, and I like the scientist, one with the scientist on it.
Oh, a
I
rush
don't.
of blunt
I
to the
think
head. Yeah.
those albums are from front to back, in my opinion. Just there's not much wrong with them. And then after that, they pretty much gave up their soul of rock and like being a band who kind of had some command to like a band who just played real generic mall music with like more synthesizers and more electronic kind of stuff in it. Then then they really, I feel like, benefited them. So like those two albums are great, and well, I have some history with them, but yeah, D sounds about right just because like I feel like you didn't continue on after that. So
I was gonna be mean and put him in F, but I'll go D. Make a good argument. That's fine.
Okay.
But I agree. Their earlier stuff is actually listenable, where I cannot get down with anything later in their career at all.
you asked me like during those times when they just had those two albums out and one followed the other. And there's nothing better than a great album following a greater album. There's nothing better
Yep.
than that. You love that feeling because it feels like sky's the limit. Like, where can we go from here? I would have probably said they were like A tier because like I was obviously younger and didn't really understand the fact that when you say a band is great, you need to have like I was talking to someone about this, they have to have at least six albums, like 6 or 7 albums that you really know well in order to
Yep.
make it up into the high tier. And to go any higher than that for just those two albums would be, yeah, just
Yep. All right.
All right. Dave Matthews Band. I mean, this is an F for me. I'm just gonna be up.
F.
If anyone else wants to
F.
argue against it, I'm fine.
That's such an F that it's not even funny.
Honestly, I'm gonna put him even below Arctic Monkeys.
Is there a lower than F? I don't know.
We could
I'm
always
not
make
sure.
one.
I mean, if yeah, I mean,
F
could put
minus.
Crash into Me
definitely.
is a good song.
I mean, they have a song that is decent. I would say,
I can
but
agree with that set. I can agree with that set. I didn't realize that said Dave Matthews Band. I was like, oh wait.
yeah.
What do we got next?
Deep Purple. This is a
Deep Purple.
low C for me.
E, man, I'm gonna have to go with a B. I mean, I feel like I know a bunch of albums that I really like from them, and I mean the sound, the just the overall feel of it. Like, I feel like me with my prog rock, I definitely feel like B maybe below AC/DC for sure. But B for me. So JT's the deciding vote here.
I don't listen to enough Deep Purple to form an opinion on this one. So you guys are on this one.
All right.
I haven't.
Mike,
So,
where do you want to average it out?
I mean, if you want to go
Above
high
Aerosmith
C's,
or
or you want to go below Alice in Chains, I mean, sure, yeah. I mean,
either
or yeah,
one.
whatever. It's up to you. We can always flip a coin, or no. I don't know.
flip
I
a
would
coin.
say, I mean, if we're gonna go on straight iconic, memorable songs, I'm gonna put them at high C. Now, the reason I'm gonna say that is because we're talking about the world here. We're not just talking about what I like. So, Smoke on the Water, amazing song.
Yep.
Highway Star,
Great song.
freaking amazing song. I mean, a bunch of songs off that album. Other than that,
Their
they had
iconicness there pretty much.
what?
They lose their iconicness after those.
Yes. And what's ironic about that is they fit more into the understanding and the acceptance of people who don't rely on the radio to determine if your music is good. And I appreciate that because there was a time when people loved music and it was loved as a community of people rather than like it had become global or become in fact like hitting the radio station at a college campus and then blowing up and then whatever. Like, it was a sound of a time, of an era, and it spawned a lot of bands who copied that sound. uh and I think that's an important enough thing to gain them notoriety. But like you said, if we're going on straight memorable, iconic songs that live on forever, yeah, I mean, high C is definitely where it makes sense. Did we lose somebody on the B tier? Why do I feel like the B tier
Yeah,
is longer and all of a sudden?
No, we're
Maybe that's
good.
just because C tier
Yep.
got longer and then
We added
uh,
C and D tiers.
yeah.
All right, so I think we know who needs to start this next one.
God damn it.
Take it away for Elvis.
Oh man.
Oh man, the king himself. I mean, might need me say more. Yes, I have an Elvis costume. Yes, I've danced in it numerous times on my own spare time.
I still
Um,
talk to my counselor about that. So thanks for that. Appreciate that. Well done.
No, there is video of that on our Instagram. Check out the Super Review Show on Instagram. Anyways, besides the point though, it's got to be S, because I say that mainly because of, if you take out, I mean, if you take out iconicness and take out like, just if you take out like what his legacy of, like, he died in 1977 and all that stuff, but if you look at him as like just the music and the impact the music made, just strictly the music, forget him for a second, but just the music made at the time. You listen to Trouble, you listen to Burn in Love, you listen to like Hound Dog. Those are songs that at the time we don't really we kind of take it for granted now in the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. But back in the 1950s, parents were scared shitless about Elvis. They're like, they literally, and I kid you, my grandmother was like she was young at the time, like a kid really, but she was like, they would go to church and say rock and roll is bad for the soul. Don't listen to Elvis Presley. They started like burning records and all this shit. I'm not kidding. So the music they called it sacrilegious, but lo and behold, the music was here to stay. So I have to say for S tier for that reason. I don't know if you guys have any opinions of him at all, but
Okay, I'm gonna make an argument for A tier.
okay.
The reason I make an argument for A tier is one, he did not write any of his music, which
Yes.
always sits with me and kind of like, and I understand, like, as a performer, as an iconic kind of like style, he's an S tier without a doubt. Like when it comes to just like defying the status quo, kind of breaking the boundaries between kind of like the world of like the honky tonk kind of stuff straight into into his the career he had after just being kind of a presence and continuing to touch people and in the music community still to this day. Iconic and just overall impact, I put him in an S. If we're going on straight like as an artist who delivered a flair that was of his own, a lot of it his style was it, but the songwriting is just handled by a lot of different kind of folks, and it's just overall for me a blemish enough that I feel like I couldn't justify it as a true like all encompassed the way the Beatles have like um they wrote everything, they performed it, they created the sound that they were in and continue to evolve it. He kind of stayed the same, and then obviously in the before his passing, if he did pass away, that's our next podcast. Did Elvis pass away? But yeah. But other than that, I'd have to go A tier. It's up to Kyle. We're gonna leave it in the court of Kyle. That's the new
Like,
name.
and you were on the same page. I was thinking
Oh
high A tier for that
yeah.
exact reason. Performer impact, incredible things. So many of his songs were, and again, not so much fault of his own, similar to the early career of the Beatles. That's just kind of what the music industry was you did covers and you pumped them out and whatever. But I mean, talk about, Hound Dog, great song. It's a cover.
Hmm.
So I mean, for me, A tier. Also, got to point out, JT talking about the great songs. Not gonna mention Suspicious Minds, Elvis's best song.
I was gonna mention it eventually. Don't worry. Sorry
But
about that.
there we go. No, I completely agree. It's got to be S tier. If he wrote everything, 100% would have been S. So high A for me.
All righty.
All right, Evanescence. This
That's
is
a
a
C tier for me.
low C tier for me. They have 1.5 great albums, and then everything after that has just been,
I agree.
If they stayed the trajectory of that first record throughout their entire career, could have been a different story. But as
what do you
is,
think, JT? JT, you still with us here? Or...
I am. I'm thinking about Evanescence. Forgive me.
Okay. What do you think
I'm
about
here.
Amy Lee or...
he's thinking about Amy Lee. He's getting distracted.
I hate this band so much. No, I'm just kidding.
When JT goes completely blank, there's something going on and up in the old
Like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm
noggin
fine, guys.
toboggan up there. Yeah, he's
Evanescence. I don't know them outside of Bring Me to Life. You know what I mean? That's all I know. So I can't really make
my
a true.
Bring Me to Life, My Immortal,
Call
My
me when you're
Immortal.
sober.
I mean, so yeah, it's good.
Everybody.
But like
Put them at C for that reason. I have no other opinion outside of that one song. So
All right. Faith No More. We got a D here for me.
I agree with that.
I
Yeah,
mean, this is
it's
again similar to our reasoning for most of the D tier where it's good. They have a couple hits that were good. And then the sound, though, sounds dated. They didn't put out enough material since that point
yeah,
to be not a nostalgia act. I personally would put them above Alanis Morissette.
yeah. I think it works.
sure.
Definitely.
Maybe controversial opinion on for me on here. Jesus, what the hell was that? Anyway, uh, maybe
Is
controversial
that the name of
opinion.
the next band? That's a long name.
Foo Fighters, A tier.
A tier. I
A
was
tier.
hoping you said
They
that.
are a
Definitely.
strictly singles band. They have had one
Yeah.
album that I thought was fantastic front to back, and the rest of it has all been singles or select songs here and there.
Yeah.
Would not
What do you think,
agree
JT?
more. Put it at A.
Yeah. Well, now where are we going in A? Are we going above
I'm
Elvis?
going
You're gonna put.
I'm going between
Uh,
Elvis and Bon Jovi
I
personally.
think that's a
that's
good
fine.
place.
That's a good placement. Yeah.
I think they have
Between
gotten to the point where they're more iconic at this point than Bon Jovi.
between Elvis and Bon Jovi, that's my next album coming out.
I'd buy it.
Check out all your local streaming and where you get your music from. That'll be
Streaming
released
services.
in 2000 and ever. So yeah, check it out.
All right. Anyone have any strong opinions on the Gorillas and want to go first?
I know like two songs. You go.
Straight F tier for me, bro. Put that right where it belongs.
I was thinking low D, JT.
F is for.
All
I'm
right.
kidding.
F is for fun.
I mean, we're going high F. I'd rather
Yeah, I'll put them on.
Feel Good Inc. than anything by Arctic Monkeys.
I have to concur with that.
All right. Green Day, straight S tier. No exceptions. I will hear no argument.
Of course. Of
Anyone
course.
tries to argue and make
Uh,
a tier above S tier for this one.
Oh
But
God.
in all
Personally,
seriousness, we want to talk about iconic artists. I mean, you have a huge album in 94, again in 2004, become a household name in two different decades. You have still to this day, every album is getting new and younger fans. It's pretty nuts. Uh, they're timeless.
I would put them below Bon Jovi on the A tier. No offense. That Bon Jovi's
Breaking his
hits.
heart.
Think about Bon Jovi's hits. So many iconic songs that everybody could sing along. And while I'm not discounting your love for Green Day,
Uh,
Kyle, we're
Longview, Basket
we are
Case.
talking about think about filling an arena full of people, right? And okay, so
Mhm.
you got Longview and Basket Case, sure, and
Yep.
maybe American Idiot, but we're talking
Boulevard of Broken
about like,
Dreams.
yeah,
Good
you can get
Riddance.
four in there. What?
Good Riddance.
Yeah. You're talking about
Wake Me Up in September, Time of Your Life.
I mean, yeah, those are good, but then we go Bon Jovi's hits. We're talking he's got probably a good 7 or 8 songs that everybody knows. Bad Medicine, She's a Little Runaway. Uh, I could keep going on and on and on. Whereas I feel like if we're talking, uh, Kyle, what is going on here?
What?
No, Kyle, what, folks? For those who can't see, Kyle has done the same thing as to create a special category for one and only Green Day, and it was green. I mean, I think it was actually. I don't know. He missed that opportunity to
I
make
don't know what
greener
happened
than
there.
S tier. Yeah, I would put him below Bon Jovi. Uh,
I'm
I
so
would put
sorry
him.
to our listeners.
Yeah, that's sorry about that, folks. We went off the rails there, and yeah, for those who couldn't see
If
it,
we take Kyle's Love and Burning Passion to meet Billy Joe Armstrong, Mike Dirt, and Trey Cool out of it, I would say A tier as well. Nothing, and that's no disrespect to them whatsoever. I love them too, but I got to put them at A.
Fine, we're putting him above Elvis.
I'll take that.
Oh, God.
As Kyle jabs JT and his remaining dignity, and
I'll see you in the
like,
next life,
You're
guys.
both wrong, but it's okay. You can't
You're
always be
both-
right.
You're both wrong.
All right, but Guns N' Roses, let's be real. Guns N' Roses is a B tier band, a high B tier.
I agree. Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
Appetite for Destruction and Use Your Illusion 2 and part of 1, and then everything else is just there.
Just
The
a
spaghetti
train wreck.
incident.
Yeah. And I feel like they had so much opportunity and like possibility. That's what makes it so crazy, because when they did have a hit album, it was like everything on it was really good. And then
Yep.
like when they started to spiral out of control because of the band's issues, like if those issues didn't exist, everyone stayed healthy, stay away from drugs, and was able to. I mean, maybe some people would argue the drugs are what made the music better, but
Yeah.
like I would honestly say sure, but then you can't perform and continue to stay together when you're constantly fighting and at odds and not showing up to practice and
Showing up to
not
your gigs hours late.
gigs. Right. You know, it's a conflict of interest. Unfortunately, you can't make music and not perform it. And like today's era where you can almost be just like a digital artist who doesn't ever go out on the road. It's, could have got away with it back then, but unfortunately to the B tier with you.
For Imagine Dragons?
Imagine Dragons.
Oh, we know. We know where this is going, folks.
I think we're all in agreement on this one.
Kyle, what
Straight
is
S
this?
tier.
Love the Beatles.
Straight to the S stands for something else.
I'm not
That-
gonna lie. I'm gonna make an argument here. It might surprise people. I'm gonna argue against F tier, but low D tier, because that first album they had before. So I got that album before any of the songs were on the radio, before they were hit songs. About half that album is actually really solid, like well-written songs.
I can agree with
It
that.
was after this point that they just went totally generic, garbage, watered down nonsense. By me
But
taking songs like On Top of the World from that first album,
Yeah.
Radioactive was on there, and outside of being overplayed to death, was a well-written, well-done song. And there's a couple of other Demons was on that, which is a fantastic song,
Amsterdam.
also great. It was anything after that first album that tanked them down to the F tier. So because of that, I'm gonna say low D.
and I'm gonna say F, and I'm gonna let JT decide. And I know JT's gonna say low D because he knows the songs, but you gotta think outside of those songs, was there really anything iconic or like new and like about them? It was just kind of like, yeah. But I mean,
Mike, you
it's up
don't
to
get
you.
it.
It's just to me, even the songs that
Like just
that
hates
were
Mormons.
I hey, I didn't say that. Our sponsor today. No, it's not good. Not sponsored by the Mormon Church. Uh I didn't even like the songs that were hits. So for me, I don't have an opinion on that those songs are good and now they stink. I hated them from the get-go. So that's why I leave it up to JT, because like I'm not like seeing Kyle's point, like, oh yeah, like those songs are good and now they aren't. I just never liked them from the get-go. If they're like, the
Yeah.
Nickelback of
The
their
Nickelback.
genre,
Let's not. Let's not.
Are they on this list?
They are not, but they would be yes.
Thank God. I'm very
Nickelback
happy.
is great. Anyway,
Good
tiebreaker.
God. Oh, tiebreaker. Put him a D.
Yeah. All right. We'll go. I can see what
Extremely, extremely low D. They're not like
Yeah.
I put
Can you move them
Coldplay
further
above them
down?
personally. Can you go further
Nope.
down?
If something else goes
Colin.
there, we can.
Yeah.
All right. Iron Maiden, C for me.
Straight. What? No, sir. No, sir.
Yep.
We are going
There we go.
A tier. below, obviously, like
I'll agree to that if you agree to
writers.
put Green Day on S.
What? And you are not taking Green Day and putting them in a category where the Beatles exist. That is madness, sir.
Sure will.
I will meet you at B tier if you're interested.
Meet me in the middle.
You know,
I
Meet me
could
yeah,
on the
take
roof.
B tier
because
above Alice in Chains.
I mean, yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, it's up to JT what he wants to say. JT,
My
I don't know if
reason,
you're too well
well,
versed
let me see
on
my
Iron
reason.
Maiden.
My reasoning is they have a handful of hits.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden is mostly for those like prog metal fans that don't go to the full prog side. So this is 100% on Mike here. Like,
Yeah.
let's be real, their last few efforts, not good. Not Book of Souls. People seem to really like that. I got
Yeah.
it. Don't like the album. When they
Yeah. Not my favorite album.
writing like 11 to 15-minute tracks, just too much. Uh, yeah, they're all right.
Yeah. But I mean, they have a humongous community of people that listen, I love their
Dude,
music, and I mean, you know, it's definitely I think they're in that B tier above Alice in Chains for sure. It's up here.
JT.
It's up to you, JT.
B.
Yeah,
Just
JT
put
a
him in
little bit
B.
middle.
Just put him in B so we can call it a day.
JT's just like it beaten into submission.
Ah.
Controversial opinion from Kyle coming, so I'll let you guys go first on Janis Joplin.
Yes, Joplin. Well, if we're going iconic, we'll throw her in at C. If we're going like how much I really know of her music and like it, it'd probably be D. But I'll go with I'll raise you a C tier and see what JT says as he's over there rubbing his eye. It's been a long day there, JT, huh?
A
I'll raise
long day.
you in F tier.
Oh man, down
Janis
to
Joplin.
JT.
Never been able to. One of my least favorite musicians from that time period. So JT, take it away.
Yeah, JT.
F.
Oh, that's it. That puts it. Let's do it, man. F it up.
Put her below Dave Matthews.
Oh, to the bottom.
I was even going to be
JJ.
generous, but hell yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, Janice.
Sorry,
I don't think you have to apologize.
I don't think you have to apologize.
All right. Jimi
All right.
Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. Now, this goes back to our Elvis argument of straight iconic sound, like bringing in like the era of like the of that kind of smooth
Era of
guitar
guitar,
playing.
really. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like it keeps unfortunately like he's got some great songs. It keeps him out of the A tier for me. I would say B tier for me. Uh
Agreed.
I can listen to an entire album of music I don't know from him and enjoy it. Actually sit back with a beer and just relax to the tones and the kind of music. But when it comes down to like, hey, there's all these great hits I could know I never want to live without. Not so much. Like, Along the Watchtower, he's got a couple other good songs. But overall, if we're gonna say like songs I can't live without, I would probably put him in the B tier just because I just feel like he was this like iconic style over the actual substance and songwriting.
I completely agree. Maybe that could have changed had he had more output and didn't, pass away so early.
Yeah, what's so selfish passing away? Shoot.
I know, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, don't die, damn it.
I mean, yeah. So he revolutionized that and kind of popularized that style of playing.
Mm,
But I still don't. This is going to be controversial again. I still don't classify him as one of the best guitarists of all time. Revolutionary, of course. Did a
right.
lot for the genre, yes, absolutely, and the instrument as a whole. But since then, so many people have just kind of taken the blueprint that he made and improved upon it vastly. So
Mm.
for that reason, I agree with Mike with the B tier. JT,
Below Iron Maiden.
Yeah, B is fine. That's fine.
you're thinking below Iron Maiden? I was thinking above Iron Maiden.
Oh, easy, Kyle. Easy. I
Hey,
think
I'm fine with it.
we need to shift Green Day down below.
Hey, if we're shifting Green Day anywhere, it's going up. Going up.
Shift them below Bon Jovi.
Oh God.
All right.
Uh,
Kiss.
all right, I'm gonna start with this one. One of the most overrated bands in music history is solely remembered for like a captivating live performance and like a sound, but without like the true like writing chops, I think, to like really break through to a different market. And while I appreciate a band who's all about flash and show and less about like how much you really know about them, um they have their place. I mean, they definitely have. They're part of rock's history, but do I feel like they can back it up with their actual substance? I would put them like mid to high C. I mean, I would argue I would accept a low B, but I think C is more fitting for just overall substance.
I personally would go somewhere on B, probably between Sabbath and Rage Against the Machine. And we want to talk about iconicness. They're huge. Their hits are massive. I mean, if you go look at their like greatest hits record, there's a lot that people forget about in there. But I mean, their hits are so good. Do they have a lot of duds in their career? Yeah, for sure. Have they taken their career way too far? Yep. I have no interest in going to see those Avatar tours that they're going to be doing moving forward. But I mean, I think that just speaks to the longevity of the band, and people are still interested in it. They still have fans. You go to shows from theirs, there's still young people there.
Yep.
It's cool. I mean, they built more than the band. They kind of built an entire brand out of it. And I think that's respectable enough to be put in B tier
but let
between
but
Fifth and
let's
Rage.
talk about their hits though.
Yeah.
What are their hits? We got
Want me to
Strutter. We
rattle
got
off some? Strutter,
what?
Rock and Roll All Night, Crazy Nights,
Right.
Beth. I can keep going if you want.
You
I
want to keep
mean,
going, Joe?
other than that,
The
were
X.
anything else really that big after that though?
Heaven's on
Not
fire,
really.
tears are
Heaven's
falling,
on
lick it up.
Fire, Tears Are Falling. Yeah.
Those really
What was the
weren't
one
that big
disco one they
though.
had in the 80s, JT?
What's that?
Those
What was
weren't
the disco one they had?
Oh, I was made for loving you.
Yep, that was
those
huge.
really weren't big hits though. They're
They were pretty
known,
huge,
They were
Mike.
pretty big, Mike.
not as big as some of the guys we have up in in that tier. Like I mean,
I mean,
I'm
they
just
had more
saying. I'm
hits
just
than
playing
Rage
devil's advocate.
and more hits than Sabbath, if we're going to be honest. If we're talking radio success,
Yeah. Well, Sabbath is a combination of substance and style and hit. Sabbath didn't have a ton of a bunch of hits, but they had a bunch of iconic songs that gained cult-like status. You know what I mean? Like amongst the and I feel so this is the beautiful thing about heavy metal and rock. Cult status amongst the genre and then finds its way into like commercials and arenas and this and that. Even if it didn't have the hits, it becomes a hit amongst people who hear music after the fact. That's crazy. When it came out on the radio, had this kind of exposure. And then after a while, people hearing the song, they start to hear it on a TV show or some venue or whatever, and all of a sudden it's almost like where it retrends in the charts again and has a higher, you know what I mean? It's almost like after the fact, the cult following or the like, becoming unpopular again. So I don't know. Like I'm just saying, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. You know,
well, JT, what? I'm going to let JT
JT's
break
the
this tie.
deciding. Yeah,
Mike's C, I'm saying B, somewhere around here.
I mean, they were the band that I made me fall in love with rock and roll. So I might sound a little biased with what I say, but I mean,
fair.
I put them like B personally.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
Like
fair.
either above Sabbath or yeah, I would say yeah. So
Which is exactly why we're putting Green Day in S, because they're the ones that made me fall in love with me.
We are not doing such a thing, sir. You are drunk.
All right.
You are drunk.
So I'm going to let you guys pretty much decide a placement on this one, because Led Zeppelin is the band that, outside of a few select songs, I cannot stand I don't like Led Zeppelin. Never have. I respect the hell out of them. I think they're all talented musicians. It's just not for me. I'm fine with wherever you guys want to put them.
I think they're good in B. They have definitely five or six, seven very well known songs. Um, and then once again we're coming back to style and like they could you could definitely get down to some of their music even if you didn't know it. People just kind of see it as like what brought the on the certain style. I mean, I would allow C if JT wants to go there, but I think B is fair, but we'll see.
Oh man, I'm very, very torn on this because at one point I'm like, you know what? They are. I acknowledge their greatness, but what killed my love, what has killed my love for them, and at least an enjoyment of them, is hearing them on the radio so much. That's what kind of killed it for me. I could. This might sound very controversial, and I'm sorry to everyone who's listening about this. If I go my whole life without hearing one Led Zeppelin song, I'd be okay. Like
Same. If I
I hate
never
to be
heard
that guy.
Stairway to Heaven again, I'd be happy.
Same here. Like it's funny. I remember when we did our last tier list. We put them in S for that reason. But they're just played out. I respect them as an artist. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like Job, Jimmy Page, John Bonham, all of them. But
Well, you could to argue that though a lot of bands that are up there could also find themselves in the same exact situation. How many
Yep.
times have we heard freaking Guns N'
Back in
Roses
Black.
song Beaten
He
to
shook me all
Death,
night long.
AC/DC. Oh my God,
Hurley.
AC/DC for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
I
just
mean, like, while I agree with you, that the radio has ruined some great song, some
Yep.
bands who had like they had a an overall image of a band who wasn't super like all about being a commercial success. If anything, one of the bands further down this list, The Doors, didn't want their music put on commercials, didn't want to be beaten into submission. They just wanted to go out there and produce a different kind of music. And where I feel like Led Zeppelin definitely came out during a certain time where they were the best at what they did and the sound that was coming out at the time in their genre and like and they gained like a pretty cult like status as well. So just iconic wise, I think they definitely like are in a B tier.
Mhm. JT,
is it still up to me?
final
JT.
state.
Just I'm tempted to put him at C, but just I don't know. Just put him at B. Just call it a day. Put him at B.
Low B.
Low B.
All right.
Loby, Loby, Floby.
Interesting one. Lincoln Park.
Hmm.
I would hmm,
We did a whole career
I
discography
would
breakdown.
venture to say A between Green Day and Elvis. I'm not going to
Mm.
say they were the most revolutionary band there is. I mean, Hybrid Theory is one of the best-selling albums of all time, but I think that they fall into that same category of Green Day where they have multi-generational fans, still are finding success, even though they haven't, obviously, for obvious reasons, been a band for the past 6 years, 7 years now.
Yeah.
And yet they're
Yeah.
still selling records. Their songs are still, going crazy. I would say
I
A.
put them I'd put them on A but below Bon Jovi personally because I
I
feel like their last three, four albums were they were okay. Nobody outside of the fans of Linkin Park could tell you a song off of those albums unless they were like those radio songs like
yeah, they could tell you Burn It Down because that was a big song on the radio.
yeah,
Came out.
and
Yeah.
those ones like the
Like
and the
One More Light,
Sun.
people could tell you just because of
Yeah,
its hit
Yeah.
right.
status after he passed away.
You're
Right.
right. It's been elevated by
Yeah.
the immortalization of what happens when you die and you have really iconic songs for the time. Everything feels iconic when you get to a certain point. So, unfortunately, but I mean, I just go back to Bon Jovi's catalog, and it's just massive. Like it's like just huge. So yeah, when I think about that, I'm like, there's no way Linkin Park could even hold out a playlist for
I don't know,
the
man. Their
masses.
greatest hits album that's coming out in a couple months has 20 songs on it.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean,
Pretty
we'll see
good.
how it rolls out. You know, we'll see how it rolls out.
Definitely, yeah.
All right.
But I'm satisfied with that one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Megadeth. For me, high
Mm,
C above Deep Purple. I view Megadeth as the cutoff between a low B and a high C band. I would view Megadeth as the gatekeeper of the C tier.
I can get behind that.
yeah, I
just
mean,
like they have some really good albums, but they're very
yeah,
few and far between. With Megadeth, it's either you're getting a good album or a
yeah,
shit album. Like there's no in between.
right.
Yeah.
I would probably put them above Deep Purple to be honest with you, but I would say yeah, I could go with C tier.
Yep.
My sister would kill me if she saw that, so I'm just not gonna let her know about that because
Oh
she's
shit.
Edit
one of
this.
her favorite bands of all time. Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Now, I know what Mike's gonna say, but hear me out. Hear me out. Metallic. S
Yes.
tier for the exact same reason as the Beatles.
Hell to the no good, sir.
Absolutely, yes.
This is a B
The
tier
most
band at
influential metal
best.
This is a B tier band.
most
They
influential
are,
metal band of all time, objectively. They're still selling
yeah,
out stadiums for 2 nights.
half their catalog is good though. Half of it.
I could say the same thing about the Beatles.
Oh,
Uh, but okay.
Those
Let's
first
put it
like
this
6
way.
Beatles albums are pretty rough to get through, man.
they were.
Let's put it this way. If the Beatles are like, I'm trying to think of something really super concentrate. Okay, if the Beatles are a jug of of detergent, right? A jug
Okay.
of detergent. You can half that detergent, right? But it's still detergent. Whereas I feel like Metallica, halving their catalog, they're more like, uh, you know, like I don't know, like I'm trying to think of something a good analogy for like something that doesn't have the same kind of like
Juice. Just
concentration.
watering down
Juice,
juice.
yeah,
They're
they're just
okay.
like they're like juicy juice that you half in half. Like whereas like you can't you really don't have the same kind of staying power of like iconicness, worldwide renown, sure, in the genre of metal and like
I don't know. They're still selling out arenas across the world and they're doing 2 nights at each one now. And
Yeah.
oh, and
still selling them out.
this goes back to my like their fan base is has given them a cult like status where it's elevated them and they've been able to do that. But if we're talking about like the ability to touch all markets, they still I feel haven't reached that. I would
No,
B is my answer. I would meet you at A. I would meet you at like A above Lincoln Park, but below
I don't
John.
think you could put them below Bon Jovi, man.
That's a
I
low
mean,
blow.
They have,
it's
I would say
that's a
they have
low
crossed over. I
Joe
mean,
blow.
look at that huge massive boost in popularity they had, not only from the Black Album in the 90s, that really propelled them to like a household name, but look
Yeah,
at just a couple years ago with Master of Puppets and Stranger Things. You
Yep.
know,
yeah,
give people like shit
right.
all you want, but that still introduced a lot of people to Metallica.
Yeah, it really
Yeah,
did.
but I mean, still, we're talking about outside of Enter Sandman. Name a
Hmm.
hit song that everybody could tell
Nothing else
you
matters.
besides, yeah, nothing else matters, and maybe
That but
Master of
true.
Puppets.
The
Right,
Unforgiven,
Wherever
Master
I
of
may roam in the
Puppets,
Unforgiven.
those
one,
weren't big hits.
one was a
They
big hit.
weren't big hit. One was not a big hit. You look that up. I will debate you till the end of time. One was not a big hit. It was big within the Metallica community, but it wasn't it in the realm of like
One was big
actual.
because of MTV and the music
Yeah,
video.
but we're talking about the charts of like it.
It reached
I
number
will.
35 on the Billboard Hot 100. I just checked.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, but it
Thank you,
wasn't a
JP.
number one. It wasn't number one. It wasn't
I
like
mean,
they
there's
didn't.
so many of
You
these that
expect
haven't been
that to be
number
number
ones, but
one?
Well, I mean, you have to have some songs that reach like
God.
iconic status, and you're telling me a band who has not reached iconic status should be given an iconic status just because they have
I
a cult
disagree.
like
I think if
following.
anyone's reached a, I wouldn't say Metallica's cult-like at all. I would say that they are one of the most iconic bands of all time.
Yep.
Yeah,
Legit
iconic,
legend
but I'm
status.
saying they're like amongst the hard metal and rock community. They're not breaching all genres like bands that
I can
belong in that
I
category.
can
So
compromise on an A.
yeah, I
I
would put
can
like I said,
compromise on an
Above, it's gonna
A.
have to be above Bon Jovi, or it's gonna have to be
yeah,
above Foo Fighters, if I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest with
that'll
you.
work. That'll
That's
work.
man. Mike is
I
coming down
will
hard with the fact he doesn't like Metallica that much.
I will note for the listeners and viewers that I wanted them to be in B tier because like I said,
Hey,
they have
you
some
know what,
great
Mike?
albums. They have a
I'll allow wherever you want if you let me
no,
put
I'm
Green
just
Day in
noticing.
S.
He's
No,
gonna do
get out of here.
it.
Get out of here that I'm just noting for the record so that like someone's like, hey, you think they're
He
get
just
out of here.
moved Green Day back up to S tier.
Get out of here. Get that. Get that. That hand grenade's going
Front of
off.
the
All right.
Beatles.
Yeah, back down to back down to F here.
Uh,
Oh
All
God.
right, all right. Cool.
Anyways,
Okay, Nirvana.
Nirvana.
Nirvana, my favorite clothing brand. Um,
Uh,
the three Nirvana albums are really good.
They are.
yeah,
It's
very
hard to
good.
argue that.
They're very good. I would say, I'm gonna be honest, S tier. I mean, we're talking
Wow.
about a band
Wow,
that
I'm
has,
shocked.
dude, we're talking about a band that has not been active since the early, mid 90s, and people still love them. Kids in high school are still finding Nirvana. I personally, they're not even in my top 10 favorite bands, but if we're talking impact on music, I mean, they single-handedly killed hair metal. They single-handedly started grunge. When you look at music, there's pretty much pre-Nirvana and post-Nirvana.
It's hard to
And
argue against that.
it is what it is. I mean, we got an S tier for me.
I'm gonna just shut
Um,
my mic out and say S.
Personally, they had one very, very good album. Then the where's the album before that was
Which
good, but
one?
it wasn't like what?
Bleach
Bleach, yeah. Like it was good, but it wasn't like, you know, that that amazing. And then they had that one other album,
in utero.
In Utero, which I think it had a little bit more misses than the previous album. So I personally feel like they should be A. Right under Green Day, maybe above Green Day personally, if we're gonna go with a some type of a compromise. But it's up to JT. JT might go S, who knows? But my
What are you
personal
doing?
stance on that is they're an A tier. Yeah. JT, you're
Got
just
JT
like
up
the
to
guy,
B.
man.
Why is this
The
happening
guy.
to me? S.
And there we go.
Oh, all right. There you go. JT has spoken.
I mean, below the Beatles, obviously.
Yes, yes, of course. But
And now if we want to make the list really accurate, we're just gonna throw this here.
we're gonna put
Get
Green Day
out
in
of
S
here.
tier again.
Anyway,
Someone take away his
Oasis.
mouse privileges.
I'll try my
JT,
best, Mike. I'll try my
try
best.
try to do it. Yeah. Cut his
Oasis.
power at his
I'm,
house.
I'm gonna be this guy again. Oasis. We want to talk about nostalgic British pop rock. Oasis is a D.
I agree with that
Oasis is
wholeheartedly.
the most overrated band of that era.
I
Lame as
agree.
hell. And if I never have to hear Wonderwall again, I will be happy. I would pay something to never have to hear that song again.
I agree.
Maybe. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Low D.
What is this one?
The Offspring.
Offspring. Interesting. I mean,
C.
personally, I think
I, I want to see what
those
Mike has.
first the first couple albums, those first like three albums, I think, were amazing. I
Yeah,
burned them out when I
incredible
was
albums.
growing up. Absolutely. And then, they started getting into this real cheesy kind of like embarrassing kind of like music that I just feel like I couldn't even rep them because I belong to a harder metal, punk rock, hardcore scene where people like looked at that and were like embarrassed by what happens when you get a lot of money. You know what I mean? When you get a lot of money, you start acting crazy because like you're like
Yep, that's me.
you don't really take your music too seriously anymore, you know? So for me, they're a B tier band. Um those first couple albums were amazing, but I mean everything after that, really honestly, I couldn't tell you much off of it. And if I did, I'd be like, it just sounds like they rehashed their previous self. Not a terrible rehashing, but rehashing nonetheless. That personally never went and grabbed the world by the horns and said, "Hey, like we're Offspring." Like they were more of like a band who accompanied other bands who did it better. You know.
Yep. I was honestly thinking B, probably between Kiss and Rage Against the Machine.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure, why
Sure.
not?
All right. Pearl Jam.
It's all
D
me.
tier.
No, no, no,
I
no, no. Hold on,
agree.
hold on, hold on.
Kyle, get out of
Hold
here,
on, hold on,
I
Kyle.
hold on, hold
challenge
on.
you guys. I challenge you. Outside of 10, which I'll give you, 10 is a fantastic album front to back.
Yes.
Give me one other Pearl Jam album, not just one song here or there. Give me one solid, great Pearl Jam album after 10.
The one right
I just
after it
know,
versus.
yeah, I just know their hits, but I mean, every Pearl Jam album I put
And
on,
every
I
hit, Mike, is on 10. With the exception of Last Kiss, every hit is on 10.
Yo,
but I mean,
Ledbetter wasn't on it.
Tell me one
even
lyric Eddie Vedder has ever said. I guarantee you won't get it right.
he was shouting here. I don't know.
Mike, what was that? Um,
That was
I'd be
every song.
willing to compromise to C.
okay.
I don't think we can
I'm
call
going
Pearl.
A. I'm going
Please let
A
me go on my
tier.
Pearl Jam tangent.
A tier.
All right,
A tier.
all right. No, no, definitely not A. All right. So, all right. Here's the deal. Pearl Jam, for me at least, this is just my interpretation of Pearl Jam, my opinion. Pearl Jam to me, I agree with you a little bit more than and let me explain. 10 Versus and Vitality the first three records are solid, but 10 is the best one of the three. After that, they kind of fall into like a Foo Fighters like category for me, like where there's like the next few, all their albums afterwards have at least one to maybe two or three, really just solid songs on them. Like, I mean, was it Vitality had Better Man and Immortality, of course, but that was their third record. Their fourth record, Yield, had Given to Fly, great song on there. Their 2006 album, the Avocado album, had Worldwide Suicide. That's a really great song. Um, what's that I can't think of? The 2009 was The Fixer that had Just Breathe on it. That's a really nice, actually acoustic guitar driven song. Um, like I would make the argument for high C personally over Deep Purple because of longevity reasons, but not quite like they're not quite like all the way at the end there. You know what I mean? That's my reasoning there. And plus, yeah, I don't know have you heard their new single at all? The new single, Dark Matter.
No.
Okay, it actually is. It's much better than
I
their.
heard I heard this new album's supposed to be heavy though. So
It is, and then that track, Dark Matter, I have listened to it a lot more than I thought I would. Truthfully, but Pearl Jam is again one of those bands. Just like they've evolved a bit over. They've kind of maintained the ship, but they've evolved a little bit over time too, kind of thing. So, like, if you go in like Dark Matter, it's heavy. It's not like metal heavy, but it's like alternative rock heavy. You have to hear the song before when we're done here tonight. But yeah, it's a step up from Gigaton, which was their 2020 album. It was a big step up from there personally, in my opinion. But yeah, but I would say C tier. Do I think they're on the same caliber as Guns N' Roses? No. Do I think they're nowhere near the same caliber as Nirvana or Foo Fighters, in my opinion? But that's why I put them at C. I mean, Mike, I
Yeah, I
cut
mean,
you off. I'm sorry.
it's okay. I could agree with that. I mean, as much as I think that they still play like a, even without the hits to back it up, they still
Yeah.
play a great like rock style, and
Mm.
I just Eddie Vedder is a great vocalist, and I
Yeah.
mean, like even listen to the soundtrack to Into the Wild
Oh,
he
that's true.
did
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that movie. Great soundtrack, and it just feels like no matter how he expresses himself about something, it has power behind it and just that style. So like, while I do think they're a B tier, if we're gonna be in a compromising mode, I'll take a C.
Okay.
Sake of the group, cohesion here, and
I mean, and out of all the early '90s grunge bands, they've survived the longest. Out of all, I mean, Nirvana is no longer Soundgarden. You know what I mean? So
I think by a lot being alive.
Yeah, in all fairness, that's only because Eddie Vedder's alive.
That's a very accurate statement. I will say that. But yeah, but that's just
the big four of grunge: Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains. The only one who's still alive is Eddie Vedder.
It's
this just got really dark.
Dark Matter from Pearl Jam. It's a new single.
Dark Man. Oh yeah,
dark. I know JT loves this next one.
Oh, I do. I love this band so much.
We're going to be objective. I'm not going to argue for S tier because a majority of Pink Floyd's albums are garbage. We're going to be honest.
Oh,
but Dark Side,
Kyle.
Most of their early albums, have you listened to them? They're not good.
They're from the 60s ones, right?
Yeah, like the very first ones.
Yeah,
but Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, Momentary Lapse of Reason, incredible albums. I'd go A.
I could beat you at A. I mean, I might want to go S tier if JT wants to meet me there, but
Mike, do not put that in my mouth.
He will say F tier if it's up to him.
No,
S tier.
I won't say
not
okay.
F.
Okay, hold on. I will not say F for them. I'm this Pink Floyd for me. I'm not going to go into a huge thing about it, but like to me, their albums, I said just them as a band, was it prog rock? I don't even know how to say it. Like their songs are just I'm more
rock, but with like
like I'm more used to like more upbeat, faster, like traditional, like regular quote unquote regular rock and roll. Like, you give me like a 80s Kiss or whatever, like, or like even like I don't know. Let me just look at Guns N' Roses, like faster songs. Like I'm not opposed to balance and stuff like that, but every time I hear, there's two reasons why. A lot of their songs are sort of like slow for me, and they just never like appealed to me as like a person. Like they're slower than I would like them to be. But I'm not abstaining this. I can see why people are like this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I can see why. For me, and I listened to it, and I'm like, okay, like for me, it just didn't rub off on me like the way I thought. That also, what killed it too is FM classic rock stations beat the hell out of them and Led Zeppelin. It drives me nuts. Like, God, play other things too. FM classic rock stations. There's much more to life than just another brick in the wall, rock, Black Dog, and You Shook Me All Night Long. If I'm being honest, you know what I mean? Like that's.
Right. I disagree, but I think
you see what I'm saying though? Like it just the repetitive of like the FM stations it just killed it for me. Like I have The Wall and I have Dark Side of the Moon on vinyl. I'm not. They're in my collection.
Ever listened to the entire "Shine On You Crazy Diamond" song from beginning to end? The entire, all the different parts.
Mike, that is a long ass song.
Amazing. I say A tier. This is A.
I will not say F though. I would go D, but you put them wherever you want. So.
I'm also with Mike on this one with A.
Yeah.
Where'd you put it? You put him in A?
I mean, do we want to compromise? We got a B for JT.
B for JT.
B. Yeah. I abstain.
High B. Yeah.
They got to be the highest then.
Okay.
All right. Queen.
S.
Disagree, but okay.
Really? Tell me why.
Because if we're going to be honest, we're looking at this through. When people look at Queen, you're looking at it through the hits, which are great. Don't get me wrong, they're fantastic. Freddie Mercury, great vocalist. We're looking at it in terms now, years down the line, of it's kind of a nostalgia act again, where the songs are very good, and I feel like we've blown the icon out of proportion. I feel like with Freddie Mercury's passing, it elevated the music up to that iconic status. I don't think if he was alive, it would be at that point.
I don't know.
Now, don't get me wrong. I would go A. Like, I would go pretty high A on that.
Yeah.
I'm meeting JT at S. I'm sorry.
Oh
We
my.
can do it. We
I'm
can do it.
sorry. That list,
But we're
that
going with the end of
laundry
it.
list of hits. And while I do admit dying does kind of help you get into the high thing,
Dying
well, look where
helps.
Nirvana is right now. So
Exactly.
it kind of it's the same exact thing. Unfortunately, the S tier is a reserve for bands
Dead
who have
people.
passed and their music has been rebundled and resold
Yep.
again in a modern format. If you're a band who's been repurposed and packaged in a modern format, you belong in S tier, or at least that's your first entry ticket into it. And if there hasn't been a band who has been played in movies modernly, it's Queen's music, or reimagined, same thing with the Beatles. They've done
Mhm.
a lot of repurposing
Documentaries
and
and
remembering.
yep.
Yes.
My
So I feel
argument,
like that.
my argument also against the S tier for Queen, though, both other bands in the S tier knew when to call it quits. The Beatles called it quits on their own. Nirvana
Yeah.
called it quits when Kurt died.
Yeah.
Queen still going, just like,
I do
oh,
admit
Adam
it doesn't.
Lambert, and it
I do
just
admit
tarnishes the legacy a bit.
money is definitely a driving factor for like that, but I do feel like as long as they're not like out there releasing a ton of new music and embarrassing themselves, like they just were doing the music, nothing wrong with that.
No. I have a friend of mine who saw Queen and Adam Lambert just back in October, whatever, and when they were in our area, and it's funny. He said to me that Adam Lambert himself says to the audience, he says, I know I'm not Freddie, but I will do my best not to replace him, but just to fill in the shoes, if you will, or something along the lines of that. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, and this is the same friend of mine who's seen Queen and Adam Lambert like 2 or 3 times. So, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. Like he knows that he's not Freddie Mercury, but at the same time, he knows like that he's just like he's filling in that aspect, if you know what I mean. For
Yep.
to be at least, and plus to be fair, and I know we put him in S tier, but I will say this too: John Deacon's not even in the band anymore, the bassist.
Hmm.
I don't know if you guys even knew that he retired after like the Freddie Mercury tribute concert in '91 or two. So
Hmm.
just another factor for you guys too.
S tier. No S tier. I
The
think
Stone
we're.
Age, you got a pure C tier for me, buddy.
I mean, I
Wait, wait,
gotta disagree. I
wait.
gotta disagree.
Mike is saying what are you saying?
I'm definitely saying if I were to be a serious person, okay, so that first major album, The Songs for the Dead or Deaf Songs for the Deaf.
Yep.
And then um their um and like Clockwork album. I mean, two phenomenal albums. Then you have like Lullabies to Paralyze was decent but not that great. And then their newest album was solid. If I were to be a realistic person when it comes to I love their style. I'm putting them high C tier, just on in my own opinion of like the fact that half their albums I really like, the other half I'm like kind of iffy on, and the most recent one has been solid enough that I see a future progression of getting better. So like but I know obviously this is a three-person deal here. So I mean, definitely, uh, um, they have songs that they are known by. That one that first album, and then they had like a bunch of songs that made it onto different video games, weirdly enough, and like soundtracks, and yeah.
Outside of the one album we listened to, I can't really make an opinion because that's all I have to base them on. So I would say like a C or a D.
So,
I don't
Mike,
really.
what are you saying, Mike?
I would go bottom C if you want to go. If you want to go, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could go above. That's fine.
Audio
I
Slave.
don't think they're more iconic than Aerosmith. For
Yeah.
sure. Aerosmith. I mean, don't want to close. All right, I don't want to get copyright infringed here, but
Don't you dare.
that is a great song, and
We're trying to monetize the channel.
yeah.
It's gonna
Yeah.
sneak Radiohead right into F.
Kyle,
Stuck it
easy,
in.
easy.
No. I
Like,
mean,
realistically, I would personally put Radiohead at F, but
Woo.
I'll see what you guys want to do with this.
Uh, I think Radiohead is one of those bands, like I said, hit wise, they're not a band who has like
No,
they created a community on their own, and I am on board with the art kind of approach to their music. So if I were to be a true to person, to the person I am, I'm going somewhere in that high C. I might entertain a B, but for the purposes of I've only begun to explore their catalog more modernly and looking through it, I've kind of just been able to like realize that I appreciate their style and lack of they never really sold out. They never really became super predictable. They were always like cutting edge and redefining um, different music style. And I think that alone uh makes them a valid band. So I see. For me, Kyle says D.
I say F.
F. Okay, Kyle says F. I say high C, mid C, maybe below Aerosmith. We'll say below Aerosmith for me.
I was gonna say like D, but I mean, because I
Okay,
put them in the same conversation as
that's a
Coldplay.
good compromise because Kyle says F and I said C. So if you're saying
I
D,
mean, technically, Coldplay is like they're like the second Radiohead, so if you put it that way.
second radio.
I think Coldplay is a little bit better, so let's throw them there.
Oh God!
Okay,
Wow.
The band California themselves, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
The band California.
I'll start with this one.
Yep.
For the sole fact that a lot of their music kind of tread on similar sounding grounds, I don't think I could put them at S tier, but
Yep.
I definitely feel like they're an A tier band because the list
Agreed.
of hits that they have, it just goes on and on and on. They have in more modern times begun to kind of distance themselves from that kind of like everything kind of sounds like a funky, stuff. And then it kind of returned back to form with that. But I still feel like they're different enough that they're still able to have a singularity from the typical kind of bands that did the funk style and
As
the rap funk.
as a certified Red Hot Chili Peppers disliker, I
Yeah.
have to agree with A.
Mm.
You said A?
It's A?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I put them in the Foo Fighters in the same conversation.
I agree.
I agree with that. Yeah, I
Like
agree. Above
if,
Metallica.
if you say above
I
Metallica,
don't know about above.
Oh,
absolutely
above
not. No,
Metallica.
no, no,
What?
no, no.
What, dude?
I
You're
would
talking about a
I
band.
would
Hold
put
on.
them here.
You're talking about a band who has double the amount of songs that people know. Now follow me here.
I disagree.
Dude, double the
Name
amount.
5 Red Hot Chili Peppers songs that were bigger than Metallica's biggest songs.
Definitely Under the Bridge. Definitely suck
Do any of
this
those have
kiss.
over a
Suck your
billion
kiss.
streams? I don't think so.
Well, streams is I'm talking
Actually, no, they
about
do.
just
Hold on. Wait, I'm gonna check. But I
by
do
the way,
a fact check both
freaking
of you right now. Hold on one second. So Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Who has more monthly listeners on Spotify? Let's go by that.
Okay, so Red Hot Chili Peppers currently has 33 million.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna
Okay,
guess
hold on.
Metallica has like 87 million.
Metallica has. Oh my God. Metallica has 25 million.
Wow.
Oh
All
yeah,
right. You know what?
baby.
Spotify is
Yes.
spoken. Like, here you go.
Yeah,
I
that's what I'm
disagree with it,
talking
but
about.
let that be known. We left it
How
up to the
many
Spotify
wait,
gods.
can we just do one quick thing? How many Spotify listeners does the Foo Fighters have? Just while Papa's riding his high end.
Actually, they have 20 million.
All right, so
Damn.
we're good.
We're good. Don't
I was
worry. We're
hoping
good.
we could. What about Bon Blomi or Bon Jovi? Bon Jovi, excuse me.
His is in the 20s.
Green Day has 30 million, so they're staying where they are.
Okay, what is
Go
Bon
ahead.
Jovi? How many is Bon Jovi have?
Let me just
Bon
check real
Jovi.
quick. Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi doesn't have a ton because he's
28
old.
million?
Wow.
Dude, do it.
No, we're not doing it.
No, 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 no,
My
no, no.
freaking Kyle. Kyle, you went against your own
How many?
rule here.
I said for those one, for that one.
No, that's
uh,
all right. We got to move on, guys.
By this logic,
right,
Lincoln Park has 41.4 million. So,
true.
By
Okay,
this logic, so
all right.
yeah.
Rolling Stones,
B
I
tier.
can't put them in S.
I mean, I can go A
I
because
would
they do
go
have a bunch of some iconic songs that I definitely
I
like.
would
feel
go
like
mid A.
that's fine. Mid A is good.
Yeah.
I would actually
Well,
just want to say something about the Stones for a second. I would say just leave them where they are. I'm one of these people that the Beatles got what the Rolling Stones deserved, in my opinion, as far as like bad boys and rock and roll.
yeah.
That's my 2 cents for the hot minute there. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean
personally
that's
prefer the Beatles way more over the Stones.
no, I do too. I do too. But I'm saying when you think of bad boys and rock and roll, you don't think of the Beatles.
I've never thought of the Beatles as bad boys. That's for
Exactly.
sure.
So
Doesn't get much more squeaky
same.
clean than them.
and they get more cheeky clean, you know.
Scorpions, let's be honest here, high C.
Yes,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
100%.
Great band, and they're one of the few bands from that decade still kicking out solid tunes, but just never hit that iconic stride.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sex Pistols,
I
A.
go B.
Really, I'd go A just because they had one album, and that one album is one of the most iconic, influential albums in the entire genre.
Oh, I agree with that, but at the same time, if we're going like that people are going to really remember them. Sure, in their genre, but this is like a tier of all time, of all music, of all sound. If we're going of all sound, you really aren't going
I
to
could go
remember the
low
Sex.
C.
Yeah, low C is fair.
Low
We
C
got,
for the Sex
you know,
Pistols.
yeah. I mean, it's just like you look at the behemoths above them. I mean,
Yeah, it's
y-
hard to
Fair.
argue against those.
I'm putting them above Evanescence though.
Thank
yeah, I
you.
agree.
Slipknot.
If not
Oof, A,
A, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put
I
them up
would
there.
venture to say here.
Holy crap! I don't know about all that.
I wouldn't. I'd put
Argue
them in.
this.
Do
I'd put them
that.
above
That's fine.
Metallica.
That's okay.
I would
That's
think
a perfect. All right, we'll put that's fine. That's fine.
Leave it there. That's fine. And I'll read them off when we're almost done. So, what does it say?
Soundgarden.
Soundgarden. Soundgarden. Okay. All right. Well, Chris Cornell.
Soundgarden.
I'll give Mike the majority stakeholding in where this one
This
goes.
one's gonna shock people, but C tier for me. They would be a a B tier band if like I felt like their catalog definitely had the more staying hits, but they were more like, in my opinion, like part of that sound more so than the actual songs that I remember from them.
Yep.
Mhm.
Better
Right,
than
I did.
though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Stone Temple
Another one I'm
Pilots.
gonna defer to Mike on.
I definitely say high B tier somewhere above Kiss for me because I really love all their albums up until I obviously like they uh changed over, but I definitely think like uh full albums from front to back I really loved from them. So
I have no opinion one way or another on them. JT got
This is all Mike because I have no opinion there.
all right,
more
then we go to C because if you both don't have an opinion, then there's no way we're putting them in a B tier. But I
Put
think
them
this
right.
group that we have here, Scorpions and this and that, fit with at least the acknowledgement of them.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yep.
System of a Down. I'm saying high C.
Put them at
I
C.
would
I can see
say
B.
I would say C, high C. You're probably right.
Yeah. I just think that
Yeah,
their hits are really good, but they have a lot of weird crap on their catalog.
Yeah.
The Clash, we can't put the Clash higher than the Sex Pistols.
right.
That's
I agree.
that's
So
very
it's
true.
I agree. So
yeah,
Which
it's
part of
more in there.
C or D?
B is fine. Yeah.
I would say they're probably like here. And I like the Clash, but they don't have the staying power. Why the hell isn't there? We go.
There you go.
Bob Dylan,
F.
F.
worst.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
Songwriting. If we're going on songwriting and like straight up
Incredible songwriter.
iconicness, I'm going A. But
Yeah.
if I'm going like actually like songs that I listen to on a daily basis that influence my life, and then I like it's just we're going straight.
Worst
F.
singer ever.
I saw him
Yeah.
live.
Every artist that has covered a Bob Dylan song has done so better than Bob Dylan.
Yep.
The Doors.
Straight S tier. Straight
I can't do. If we're not doing Green Day and S, hell no. If we're not putting Green
straight
Day in S,
S
we're not
tier.
putting Doors in S. No
It's
way.
definitely A tier for sure. I mean, literally, uh, there's so many songs that you could put on a playlist. You know, 5 to 1, 1 to 5, no one gets out alive. Come on, baby, light my fire. What's that other one? Hello, I love you. Won't you tell me your
Yeah.
name? I mean,
Am I
like
the
I can
deciding
go
factor in this
on
one?
and
JT, I'm gonna have
on
you be
and
the
on.
deciding factor because to me the Doors are
Yeah,
a D. D for Doors.
no way. G for choice. And for that logic, G for Green Day. Let's get a G category, which
Ooh.
is
As
below
in
F.
greater than every other column.
Oh. The Doors. I put him next to Jimi Hendrix. Compromise in the middle there.
Okay. I mean,
My
I would
Mike's gonna kill
say
me, but
above Black Sabbath.
How about below Kiss?
Okay.
sure,
Above
whatever.
Kit. There we go. That's fine. I
And the
mean,
White Stripes.
F.
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 Like
Straight
the
up.
one
They have
song is
one
Seven
song.
Nation Army.
Yeah. And
Oh,
it's not,
really?
and it's like the worst drumming and plotting song
Mhm.
that every TikTok
Plotting
and
song.
like kid uses, but has no clue why they enjoy
Oh,
that.
God.
Because it's
All right.
the easiest thing
Lock
that
it
they
in.
can play.
Ooh, throwing shade at Jack White.
Lock it in. Lock it in. There it
We're
is.
locked in.
All right,
Locked in, folks.
all right. I'm gonna read off the tier list, and then we're gonna call it a night. All right, so here we go. So we got S tier: The Beatles, Nirvana, and Queen. A tier
Green Day.
is
Yeah.
A tier is Green Day, Elvis Presley, Slipknot, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Metallica, The Rolling Stones, Foo Fighters, Bon Jovi, and Linkin Park. At B tier, we have Pink Floyd, Guns N' Roses, Black Sabbath. Just kidding, Black Sabbath. Kiss, The Doors, The
Kiss the
Offspring,
doors.
Rage, Rage Against the Machine, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Jimi Hendrix, Alice in Chains, Led Zeppelin. For C tier, we have Megadeth, System of a Down, Scorpions, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, Deep Purple, Aerosmith, Queens of the Stone Age, Soundgarden, Audio Slave, The Sex Pistols, and Evanescence. At D tier, we have Coldplay, Radiohead, The Clash, Faith No More, Alanis Morissette, The Blur, Imagine Dragons, Oasis. And at F tier, no surprise here, Gorillaz, The White Stripes, Arctic Monkeys, Dave Matthews Band, Bob Dylan, and Janis Joplin. Need we say more? You can stop sharing your screen now.
Oh, that's straight truth. So.
But you heard it here first. This is just our ranking of what was given to us. We want to thank you all for watching, listening, however you enjoy us tonight. Thanks so much for listening to us discuss BS and basically just bitch about whatever we want to talk about in the world of rock music. Period for this class, this rock music tier list. I want to thank the two gentlemen as always, Kyle and Mike, for doing this podcast with me. Thanks so much for doing this as always. Yeah, and his thumb is just him. Poor Kyle and his thumb. For those of you watching us live this week, Kyle hurt his thumb. So I changed.
98% of my thumb is still here. Don't worry.
All right, good. Making sure, just so we can still play the guitar. No, but Q&A podcast is back, right?
It's back. New
Q&A
episode
podcast.
coming out later today.
Yes, Q&A podcast. Check them out. They are on Spotify podcast, and that's it, right?
Anywhere you get podcasts.
Oh,
Spotify,
good.
Apple, Google, wherever, Amazon.
He's on all platforms, and and of course Mike is just here for fun. I'm just kidding, everyone. No, but thank you all for watching, listening. However you enjoy us tonight. So if you agree with us, great. If not, let us know in the comment section below. We'd love to hear you guys have to say. But thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you guys next week.